This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds. And, of course, we are back here with another video. What is going on in your world? Let me know in the comment section below. Shout out to Carl, my man. Shout out to JB, DR Cox, Dr. Cox, I should say. Richard Griffiths, Mark, Effortless French. What is going on in your world, everybody? Let us know, as I keep saying, in the section below. We're back. This is our last. Shall I move myself here a little bit? Move myself just a little bit more centrally. There we go. Look at that, right in front of my favorite place there. Hit the like button, guys, as Stevie Leeds says. What's going on, everybody? Morning, 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 morning all from Fuerteventura. Morning from Malta, Connor. Morning from Australia, says our favourite man in the section below, Jason Clifton. Morning, Graham. How's it going? Chris, Lee Pitcher, Robson Clark, all the regulars are here and some newbies. Great to see you all in the section below as well. As I said, everybody, slap a like on the video. Check out our sponsors, the fantastic Shop GNO, of which we will be giving away prizes coming up to the Everton game. I think we will be doing, yes. So make sure you're checking out Shop GNO. Make sure you're checking out and keep the notification switched on for One Leeds, everybody. Because if you're not, you will not be notified, because we do the posts on the community page as well, relative to the prizes as well. So you need to be switched on and making sure that you subscribed as well. So don't make sure you do that for me. As I say, we're continuously trying to put things here, there, and everywhere when it comes to investing back into the channel. So I want to do that for you guys as well. Listen, I hope you're all excited for Ireland tomorrow. I hope you are excited. I will be heading there tomorrow. We've got the old boy and the brother coming tonight, staying over at mine. Then it is an early flight. And I think we're going to be heading into the Slattery, I think. So, yeah, thank you so much. And it'd be great to see a lot of you over there as well. So if there's anything that you guys have got recommended, make sure you do that to me. Chris is saying Adam Pope with the most pointless tweet ever, so I'm not having a look. Unless it's key, I'm not having a look. Prague said, we will spend every penny. Shout out to you, Lofts. Right, okay, right. I guess we're going to have to look at the Adam Pope tweet. If LUFC Passion, if it's a pointless tweet, like Chris has said, and I do trust Chris, let's have a look at what Pope is saying. Is it going to influence the room mill at all? Let's have a look. Brighton attacking midfielder Facundo Buonanotte, admired by Leeds, but is expected to join Champions League club Dortmund, reportedly interested. Well, we've got some conflicted information there, haven't we, from the Brighton side? But let's start off with Jonny Rowe, everybody. Let's have a go. Fraz Fletcher last night stating that Leeds United are apparently back in the hunt. Was the wordage, was the verbatim, was the language yesterday. The interest is there, and it has developed from interest to then apparently Leeds United being back in the hunt. According to Team Talk, Team Football France as well have suggested that Marseille would be open for a very quick sale of Jonathan Rowe. They're looking at around 20 million quid. Would you go back in for Jonny Rowe? Let me know in the comment section below. He was the target pre-Largy Ramazani. I am a poet and I don't even know it this morning, everybody. So let's go through a little bit of his stats as well. And I wanted to talk on why it may be a good signing for Leeds United, why it might not be a good signing for Leeds United. I'm going to run through a little bit of the data, which I've gone through this morning, so you guys can visualize it and hear it and maybe make your own assumptions and summaries and conclusions as to why this could be a good signing for Leeds United. So his output wasn't bad last season. Per 90, this is what we've got to look at, everybody. Per 90, this is something I was extremely keen on when it came to Manor Solomon, when it came to Largi Ramazani, when it came to William Yonto, because the direct comparison, you have to put in per 90. XG, XA, goals, assists, per 90 is the metric we've got to look at here, because not all players play the exact same amount of minutes. So let's get into that with Jonny Rowe. So a goal and assist every 132 minutes per 90. 0.38 goals, assists per 90 as well, 0.33 goals and assists, which takes it per 90 to 0.71, which is actually extremely good for a top 5 leagues. Anything basically over 0.6 is really good attacking output per 90. Really good attacking output for the top 5 leagues. And that was interesting when I was doing a little bit of the number crunching this morning when it comes to Jonny Rowe. Let's have a go. Now, the underlying numbers, the XG and expected goals, so expected goals, expected assists, which comes down to finishing or maybe other players not putting the ball in the back of the net for you, was around about 8, was around just beyond 8, which is pretty good. It's not too bad. His progressive play when it comes to carries and passes was very consistent. And I think when you look at Jonny Rowe, he's a final third player, and he's a link player, and he effectively he's really quick. He's a runner. So is that athleticism? Is that physicality on the right hand side? But on the left hand side as well, you actually look at his transfer marks, you look at the positions that he's been taking up for Marseille, a lot of it's been on the left. You look at his England under 21 storming goal the other day, cutting in off the left, very quickly cutting in off the left, and an absolutely unbelievable goal in the top corner. Now, you've got to look as well at the amount of games he started for Marseille, which 28 games. 28 games, people. He started 6 games, which is massive. 807 minutes in total, which is in and around Largi Ramazani's period as well. And you've got to think he's playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world as well. So when you look at it overall, as I've mentioned several times as well, his strength for Leeds is his high goal involvement per 90, which is he's then proven at a top level, I guess, when you look at Liga, which is what we've been speaking about. I think his weaknesses, when we've spoken about Jonny Rowe before, his goal involvements, etc. Sometimes, and speaking to Norwich fans as well, sometimes it has been his consistency, his sharpness in front of goal. And obviously that match sharpness has definitely decreased, been out in Marseille because he started 6 games. But the positive is he is producing a high rate when it comes to goal involvements per 90 in a good league, which is what we've been speaking about. A top 5 league, if you're producing moments per 90, and I'd not really looked at the number crunching earlier on when we were speaking about Jonny Rowe. I was looking at him as a direct comparison with Igor Pajau. There's not a direct comparison. You can't compare them both. One is a tear down. One, in my opinion, is an elite football player. So Jonny Rowe, would he be a poor signing for me after looking at the numbers, after looking at the contributions that he could make to this Leeds United side? Probably not. Probably not. And when you actually break down the per 90, it's not too bad at all. Let's have a quick look at what you guys are saying this morning. Let's have a look. What pub is Connor in tomorrow? I keep getting told it's a Slattery, mate, but I'm not 100% sure. I will put something out on my probably YouTube posts, my YouTube community. That's what I'd say. Absolutely not, says Sam. Any conversation behind that, Sam, as to why? Let's have a look. Try the 51 on Haddington Road, Connor. Yeah, apparently from the Slattery pub, there is like a little bit of a pub mile or something. I don't know. How do Connor? I'd still take Road, providing it means we get someone like Bilal and someone like Muniz too. He's not worth 20. Let's get him in. Decent signing, would fit into other Premier League clubs as well. Decent development possible as well. 20 seems high, but would prefer much more than Doak. I hope there's a trigger warning if there's a sergeant. 100%. Per 90 is a good stat, but knowing how Farke plays him But knowing how Farke plays her is only going to be 75 minutes each week. Yep. Didn't Rowe play as number 9 for England 21s as well? He has, mate. Yeah, he's played 9. He's played left and right, and he scored an absolute stunner last week as well. Really, really decent goal. Morning, Connor. Nope, I can and not be sold on Rowe. Fair enough. One is quality. Rowe is not a needle mover, but great competition, and he can improve. It's a slattery because he isn't better than what we have. Simple. Fair enough, Sam. Okay, I guess. There you go. Come on, the Foxes, says Catso. Is he an upgrade on Solomon? Very different sort of players. My metric with these players coming in to the Leeds United side in the Premier League is athleticism, it's physicality, it's pace, it's dynamism. So if I'm looking at those, I would say yes. And at a top league, he's got more contributions than Solomon. So yeah, and I think when you're looking at them stylistically as well, in terms of trajectory, ceiling, I would rather go Jonny Rowe for me. That's for me anyway. Experience in top 5 leagues and as a good selling value. Lee says I would take Rowe, but not to play above Ramazani. We all know Farke would choose you know who. Yeah. Good morning, mate. Hi, Stig. How's it going? Jay says I'll be happy with Rowe. Good young talent and would add another dimension. It's that final third. I guess what I'd say, everybody, as well, is if it came to Jonny Rowe, I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket and say that that's going to be that. You know, we've gone through his numbers per 90 in a top 5 league. You have got to take that into consideration. You know, if he's still performing at a relatively good rate, and let me just bring you back to these numbers again when it comes to the per 90. So starts 6 and goal and assist every 132 minutes, per 90, 0.38. Goal, assists per 90, 0.33, which takes his goal and assists per 90 to 0.71. And in the top 5 leagues, categorized by FB Ref, in the top 5 leagues, anything over 0.6 per 90 is quality output. Verbatim, quality output. So that's got to stand for something, right? It's got to stand for something. Okay, let's move on, shall we? This is an interesting one this morning, a really interesting one. Facundo Buonanotte. Now, I've been doing a bit of number crunching again on Buonanotte this morning. What do we know? Adam Pope's literally just put out then that he's not high on the Leeds United list. From what I've been told, and you get the little snippets here, there, and everywhere, of course, he is quite high, or is relatively high when it comes to what Leeds have been looking at, and he's been maybe a little bit more of a target than we've expected over the summer. That's what I've been told. Take it or leave it. Now, from what we know as well from the Brighton side and from the national side as well, the reason they don't, obviously we've heard Popey say that there's a likelihood with Dortmund. That could be correct. You know, we've seen the likes of similar players in terms of stature and you know, physicality, etc., being linked to Germany consistently. When you look at players like Buonanotte consistently, El Khannouss consistently, James McAtee consistently, similar profiles, ones that can play left, right, central attacking midfielders, almost fit simultaneously and transition very nicely into the Bundesliga when it comes to targets and profiles. Feels like Buonanotte is another one. Now, from what you were reading the other day from the Brighton side of things, they don't want to let Buonanotte go to another Bundesliga side. They would rather him stay in the Premier League. Now, why would they rather do that? You know, he can play CL football, he can play in the Bundesliga. Well, if you are to have him in the Premier League, his valuation, if he has a good season, is going to go through the roof. And we get with Dortmund, if he's out in Dortmund, if he does well, his value is going to be high. But there is a genuine conversation that if he performs in the Premier League, obviously, because we know it's a higher standard than the Bundesliga, then Brighton might be able to get an even more elevated fee. And of course, if he is part of Brighton's future plans, which if you are to believe reports, everyone at Brighton absolutely loves Buonanotte. They just need to get him that experience. They need to get him that level up of which is going to be, you know, high regard when he's down there and developing in certain areas. Obviously, he's been out on loan. We know that. Leicester last season, he had a good chunk of games, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But he's only available for loan, which says quite a bit, to be honest with you. He's only available for loan. So Brighton might be thinking loan, starting 11, like they did with Ben White, once again, coming back to him again. But all they could think, loan, sell on, but sell him on for massive value. And we know if he's performed in the Premier League for 2 consecutive seasons, there is an argument that he goes for a bigger value than what he would do if he was in Dortmund and playing sort of semi-regularly in that Dortmund side, obviously with his age. Now, there would be guarantees with Leeds United that he'd be playing week in, week out, like there was with Leicester. It's a big move for Leeds United, in my opinion, if they were to go for him. He doesn't fit the mold, and there's a lot of players even when we're talking about El Khannouss, really, who don't fit the mold of what Leeds United are evidently going for this summer, which is experienced players who can fit into the Premier League. That's what it is. You know, you look at the likes of Beale, you look at the likes of Stack, you look at the likes of Longstaff, you look at the likes of Gabby Goodmanson, you look at the likes of Lucas Pelly. They're all coming in mid-20s, really. They're all coming in mid-20s. Nemetra being another 126, all coming in with the Bornau, another one, with the viewpoint and the perspective that they're going to come in and they're going to be able to slot into the Premier League. They've got the physicality side of the game. You know, they've got the athleticism side of the game as well, but it is that almost seniority that they're going to be able to come in and they're not going to be phased by the Premier League. I think that's a massive part of it as well. Now, some of the players that we're talking about in this video are of the 20 to 21-year-old bracket. That's interesting. Doesn't really fill that Leeds, you know, that Leeds sort of section when it comes to a little bit of experience. We even talk about Rodrigo Muniz coming in. Rodrigo Muniz is 24 years of age, obviously same age as Jacobiol. He's seen a senior in a sense as well because he's played with Fulham in the Premier League. He's done what he's done. High expectation, high ceiling. When you look at Buonanotte, he's played in the Premier League last season. He's played in the Premier League for Brighton, of course. But it's interesting when you're looking at the number crunching behind it as well. Let's just get into that. So in 24-25, per 90, we're just speaking about Jonny Rowe, goals and assists over the per 90. He had 0.71. You look at Buonanotte, it's a little bit lower, 0.41. But in the Premier League as well, that's the context in comparison to Liga. And that's seen as very good as well output when you're looking at FBref as well. So the contributions, the data will tell you across 90s for Leicester last season, he was good. He was consistent, which is something that we need to look at. Consistency and dependability, reliability in the Premier League is absolutely unequivocally important. His progressive play as well when it comes to carries, when it comes to being active in that third, in that pocket, very healthy. And what I've noticed with Buonanotte as well is every season he's getting more minutes, he's getting better. You know, you look at him against, you know, for Leicester last season, he'd evolved from when he was at Brighton the season before as well. The good thing about Buonanotte as well is he's versatile, can play right, can play left, can play central attacking midfield. There's always a conversation of where he's best. I personally prefer him on the right-hand side. I think you look at his goal contributions when it comes to, I think it's 25 games out on that right-hand side in his career. And when you look at him on that right-hand side as well, I think there's like 7 goals and 3 or 4 assists. So it's like 11 goal contributions in 25 appearances on that right-hand side, which is fruitful. It's decent. So I think when you look at it, overall, there is a versatility there. The risk is he's never been a consistent starter for a good team, a quality team. But is that what Leeds are going to be this year? Are we going to be of the mark of Leicester? There's a likelihood, yeah. And that builds up the character of Facundo Buonanotte, doesn't it? When you're looking at a Brighton, he's been in 2 relegated threatened sides. Maybe with Leeds United, he gets past that. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I think it's interesting when you're looking at maybe the comparison between Facundo Buonanotte and like an El Khannouss. And obviously the rumours from, you know, the Brighton side of things is Leeds are interested. Multiple sources have said that, you know, over the past 6 to 12 months, Leeds have had Buonanotte on our shortlist. And according to the Brighton side of things and why this is developing from a Leeds side to an extent, you know, if you're looking at the periphery and looking at the externals, is because they don't want to loan him out to a foreign side when you look at the reports from the Nationals and from the South Coast. So let us know what you think in the comment section below with that, everybody. Dan is in the building. Hey, Dan. I am hoping to go to a Leeds match at Ellen Road this season. Which hospitality package do you recommend? The cheapest one, mate. I think it's like 250 quid, I think. Have a look on that one, though, mate. It should be decent. Let's have a look at how many of you in the building this morning. How many One Leeds are in? Let's have a look. We have 1,200 of you in the building, everybody. Make sure you slap in a like on the video. We've got 79 likes. Come on, let's rack those up. Okay, thanks for your donation as well, bud. How do you think Buonanotte compares to El Khannouss? And who would you choose if you only had one? Yes, mate, we will get into that. I knew someone would ask that question. So 1 free kick this morning, and I'm back on board the Buendia train. Rowe, no. Doak, no. What's this club playing at? Okay. Rowe didn't want Leeds last time, so no chance. Tammy Abraham scored 3 last night. What's his XG? XG is a load. Okay. Connor, I'm a bit concerned with the Khannouss deal. I get that we are holding out for a better deals, but his release clause expires soon and he's not getting any cheaper. Needs to get it done soon. Thank you, Andrew. My partner is okay, mate. Yeah, she's all good, recovering. Thanks, bud. Connor, mate, are you happy with what we have now to get a result against the Toffees? Yeah. To an extent, Dale. Yeah, to an extent. I think in the final third we need a lot more. I do think we need a lot more, but the structure and the framework of Leeds right now, I think, is strong. I think we've shown that against Villarreal. I think we've shown that against Man United. Man United who popped teams off the park in pre-season, as of Villarreal. We saw with Arsenal when they had about 20 shots at the Emirates and took them apart with passages of play. Very, very good the other day, Villarreal. I think Villarreal will do well this season if you're looking at their pre-season. And obviously you can't base everything on preseason, but I think you can on and off the ball play, passages, and relationships, as I mentioned this before, can be fostered in preseason. So yeah, Dale, I'm not put off at all. I think them bringing Dewsbury Hall in was big. Maybe Tyler Diblin will come in. That'll be big as well. But I think Leeds have got enough to get a result. Yeah, I think so. Michael says, listening live from San Francisco Airport en route to Seattle. Very jealous, Michael. Hope you're all good, mate. Steve says, I don't think Kingy will be happy with any player we sign. You know Kingy well. Yeah, he will come in here and put outlandish young players in there who we're never going to get. And we'll just downtrod everybody who were who were linked to. However, what Kingy has said is, to be fair to him, he has mentioned Rodrigo Muniz. I think he'd be happy with him. And obviously, Pajau, he would have been happy with him. And that's Kingy's markup. I do like the standards and the expectations of him, to be honest. But yeah, we've got to be, I guess, slightly more realistic when it comes to a newly promoted side. But as I've said, so let's have a look at the blanket now of maybe where Facundo Buonanotte would fit into a Leeds United side. Let's have a quick look. And I've done a little bit of a custom lineup. So if we are to have a look at, let's say, hypothetically, a Leeds United lineup against Everton, you'll take all the factors out of it, guys. Some of you, where's Ampadu? Just chill out, chill out. Okay, we're trying to input new signings into a starting lineup here. Okay, so when you're looking overall here at Buonanotte, when you're looking here at El Khannouss, hypothetically, where would they fit together? Now, as I've mentioned before, the beauty about Buonanotte is it reminds me a little bit of Bernardo Silva in terms of how he carries the ball wide right. And obviously, Bernardo Silva, when he does it wide left and wide right, it's not an out and out pace merchant. It's a different profile to that of Dan James as well. What he does a lot of the time when you're looking at Buonanotte is the beauty of him is his close control and being able to effectively drag defenders out wide. That's what you saw a lot with Leicester last season. Towards the end, sort of, I'd say 12 to 13 games when he did feature, it would be on the right hand side. There was a mixture of him playing centrally and on the right hand side, but his productivity is much better wide right, which is interesting. Now, I did like the partnerships, caught them a few times when it came to Bilal El Khannouss playing with Buonanotte last season at Leicester City. Thought it was decent. Now, the beauty of them both is they can play in a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, which they did do last season for Leicester City. El Khannouss, a lot of the time, would actually be in the role of a number 8, a central connector, and you get like Buonanotte wide right, being able to drag defenders out, and then you would get El Khannouss peeling behind the defenders and then being able to be those connectors. But the relationship between them both last season was actually really good, and it was actually a really nice baseline, and Mavididi would maybe be on the left in replacement of Willian Yonto there. But I like the movement between them, and the 4-2-3-1 with technical players is absolutely perfect for Daniel Farke. Now, I guess when you compare them both, you can bring, I think, both in. I think you can bring both in. I think they are different players, as I mentioned before. I think El Khannouss is a bit more of a central connector. You might use him as an 8. You might use him as a 10, but I would definitely be bringing someone like Buonanotte in as a right-sided player, or maybe someone who could play in that central role. But if you are to play maybe a 4-3-3, it'd be interesting to see how they'd both work together. But if you were to play a 4-3-3, you'd probably have El Khannouss within that 3, just that midfield 3 as an advanced 8, and you'd have Buonanotte on that right-hand side, maybe in place of Dan James. But it's different to what Leeds would normally have. Dan James, out-and-out pace merchant, has good combinations, of course, but maybe Buonanotte shortens the space between the fullbacks. We've mentioned this with Willian Yonto when it comes to him and Bogle having a very short relationship, good combinations, good 1-2s, whereas Dan James goes for that long ball, and you'll see a little bit more of a gap between James and Bogle because James is always looking for that running behind. Buonanotte would once again do that Nonto thing where they're just feeding between each other in terms of a relationship, in terms of the combinations. Buonanotte maybe doesn't have the out-and-out speed of Willian Yonto, but that's where you get El Khannouss just feeding in behind and picking up the pockets. They're both exceptionally good in the half spaces, which is really good. Now, something to bear in mind as well when it comes to El Khannouss, which is obviously something that we have to talk about in a sense. We're just going to get Jonny Rowe off the screen there. But when it comes to El Khannouss in particular, who I think is next on the screen, is that El Khannouss does have AFCON coming up. But for me, if you are to pick between them both, if you to pick between them both, which I don't think you need to do. I think we saw in a Leicester side last season, they can be facilitated next to each other. As I said, I think one's an 8/10, a bit of a hybrid. And I think you've got the other who, in my opinion, is better on that right-hand side, is a better player on that right-hand side, drags defenders out, creates spaces, has got wonderful ball control, short control. So for me, you could definitely bring them both in. Definitely. They're not too similar at all. So you could definitely bring them both in. I think that one thing you got to consider with El Khannouss is the AFCON, which we've not mentioned before, which could see him out, been out for maybe 4 or 5 games for Leeds United in around that December, January period, which we've seen a lot of the time with Sunderland, with like Noah Siddiqui, Habib Diarra, Talby, players like that. But I think overall, when you're looking at El Khannouss, there is a much higher ceiling. And I think Leeds need that profile a little bit more. I think that's what we need. I think, when you look at the output between them both as well, I'll just put this on screen here. Buonanotte's output is a little bit better per 90, which we've spoken about. Than El Khannouss is, but I think they are different players. That's something to bear in mind as well when we're looking at both players. El Khannouss as well. This is a graphic that I found because Spurs fans are talking about him now as well, and that's something to bear in mind. Hopefully, Spurs are going to be going for the likes of Nico Paz, the likes of Harvey Elliott before El Khannouss, but he is well on their radar. By the way, well on their radar. Spurs fans are talking about him, them gassing him up. A lot of analysis-based people online are saying he'd be the perfect fit for Spurs as well. And this is just him compared when it comes to all the key metrics. And everybody who turns around and said he's been relegated with Leicester, which is I personally think it is a stupid argument, because then in a sense, if you're creating, if you're being profitable per 90, but then you're still getting relegated. Once again, I have to say this every time, as Rafinha nearly did, went down to the last day of the season with Rafinha. That's how stupid that argument did. That argument is, and it's redundant, and it doesn't take into consideration the key metrics. You look at all these when it comes to duels, possession one, progressive carries, forward passes, the percentage of forward passes, key passes, progressive passes, minutes. Look at how close El Khannouss is per 90 to two of the best creators in the league right now. And this is what all the analysis will be focused around. He can play in a 3, he can play in a 4-2-3-1. And the latest update that we know, and why he is on the room mill this morning, is Spurs have gone for Nico Paz at Como. But apparently Como turned around and said it's not 40 million quid we want, it's 70 million. And apparently, according to Spurs reports, the secondary option are the likes of Harvey Elliott, Jack Grealish. And then on that list as well, they have got El Khannouss, okay? And we need them to stay away from him. Stay away from him, because when you're looking at metrics like this and how comparative it is, at Leeds United, surrounded by better players, I think it would be an absolutely top signing for Leeds United. See what you guys say in the comment section below anyway. Okay, Darren. Buonanotte after Dortmund. There's been nothing confirmed there whatsoever, but it could happen. Nathan Woodall says, I do definitely think we should give Ramazani a chance. I agree with you there, buddy. I agree with you definitely at some stage. That front four doesn't even score 30 goals. We get relegated by February if that's the level of ambition. 50% of Leicester attack that only got 30 goals, but there's so much context that is missing with that, Chris. So much context when it's missing. Abdul Fattah was missing for them last season, who was arguably and is arguably the best attacking output. And when you look at dragging players in, when you look at creativity, he would have been absolutely massive. Imagine him next to an El Khannouss, Jamie Vardy up top. And I know Vardy did okay last season, but when it comes to actual movement, when it comes to being able to hold the ball up and drag central attacking midfield players into the game, he's not going to be able to do that. Okay, when you look at how they'd set up in most games, okay, Leicester didn't have the ball whatsoever. I think we've got better protectors. I think we've got better players on the ball than what Leicester had. They didn't have overloads last season at all. Two completely different styles of play. You've got to apply context. Look at the individual. Look at his stats per 90. Look at what he produced. El Khannouss last season producing nearly 50 chances for Leicester. You're looking at top clubs going after him. You're looking at top clubs going for Buonanotte. You can't just say their Leeds are going to be relegated, because I agree there needs to be a marquee signing. I completely agree. And is El Khannouss, is Buonanotte a marquee signing? Probably not. You need that, but you also need facilitators in the attacking side of the game. You cannot use, in my opinion, mate, such a reductionist argument, which is, well, they got relegated, or they didn't score enough goals for Leicester. There's so much that needs to be involved. There's so much context that needs to be involved when it's that Leicester City side. so much. Style of play, who's in around him. That's my thought anyway. Hey, nothing wrong with wanting the best for the club. Aim high. I want the club to progress with regress. I know, mate. You're not a fan of Farker. I get that, and that could be the level that we're looking at there. Roger says, "Good day, Connor. Week done, set for a wet and windy weekend here on the Gold Coast. Love the content. Hope your partner is good after yesterday. Thank you so much, bud. Really appreciate that. People don't realize how good El Khannouss is. I agree, Sam. I agree. I think he'd be a top. I think look when he's on that list of Tottenham Hotspur, and you look at the improvements, right, that we would maybe get. I think the problem would be if you're getting someone like El Khannouss in. The problem would be if you're getting him and Buonanotte in. They're kids. They're children. El Khannouss is 21, Buonanotte is 20. They are children. So it doesn't really fit with what Leeds United are talking about when it comes to that, like, as I've mentioned before, that senior player coming in and being able to effectively hit the ground running. But context again, absolutely key. Context is they're both massively versatile, can play in two systems of which Leeds United have been practicing, a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. They can play they're very interchangeable. They've played together before. I'm not saying this is going to be the combination, by the way, but when we look at senior players coming in and transitioning into our team and us talking about these transitional attributes when it comes to Biol being one of the better players in Euro 24, when you're looking at Anton Stack having some of the most superb FB ref stats for the last 3 years in the Bundesliga, being one of the top 5-6 Bundesliga players in their respective division. Looking at them being able to transition into the Premier League. We were speaking about Pajau. But he's been at the Dutch league. But you look at the numbers and look at how he plays, the dynamism, the physicality, the explosiveness, being able to transition to the Premier League. Tick, tick, tick. Then you look at El Khannouss. You look at the chances created from a central space, the most difficult position to create chances in because it's so congested. His per 90 stats are very, very good. And there is a reason Tottenham are looking at him right now, a Champions League club. There is a reason Monaco, Leipzig, West Ham, Palace are all looking at him. I don't know how good we think we are. I don't know where we think we are, honestly. Sometimes I come out and it feels like we're just this top 6 club who should be going for better and better and better every time. I think we've just got to be a little bit more measured, a little bit more realistic. Look at the statistics a little bit. How is it going to help Leeds? How's it going to aid Leeds? Is this the profile we need? Bilal El Khannouss, is he going to be an improvement on Brendan Aronson? Come on. Come on. What are we talking about here? You know, Brendan Aronson, with the greatest respect, two assists in the championship. How many chances created? You look at El Khannouss, it's a definite level up. So, well, as I say, the central connector, El Khannouss, Buonanotte being wide right, I think that works. I like that. I really do. And especially if you've got that marquee sign up front, maybe a Rodrigo Muniz, and then you've got different profiles everywhere. You've got Nonto, Ramazani, Dan James, El Khannouss, Buonanotte, Rodrigo Muniz. You're giving yourself the best chance. You're giving yourself the best chance, in my opinion. And there might be others. There might be others, but we'll have to wait and see. Hi, Matt. Morning, Connor. Hope you're well, pal. Do you think we have a striker in by Everton or start Nemecha? A bit nervous about the lack of news. I don't think we'll have a striker in, and I think Nemecha will start. Yes, I agree with you, mate. I agree. I think that will happen. But I don't agree with you. You've not said that. I'm making my conclusion on what you said, mate. But yes, I think that. Kerry says, I still think we'll be more solid 4-3-3 this season. A lot more time defending than attacking. You could be right there. I did see Hermanson, mate. I know we've already mentioned that comment. Big manager draw. Let's survive the season. Get a new manager to attract the big names. Yeah. Mods are hovering over the ban button. I don't know where they are, to be fair. So, Pony's in here. Hey, mate. Kingy says, what people don't understand, Connor, I want to be wrong. I want Farker to keep us up. I'd love in 5 years to be in Europe with Farker at the helm. I'd love to be wrong on all my opinions. Kingy, it's a very mature. That's what I convey a lot of the time, mate, when I get deemed as negative, even though I think I've been relatively positive for the last 12 to 18 months. But a lot of it, mate, is, and it's not highbrow opinion or anything like that. It's a lot of the time, it's things people don't want to hear that could have a basis of logic behind it. It's point evidence explanation going back to GCSE English, and a lot of your points, a hell of a lot of the chat's points are your opinion, but if you can back it up, you got yourself a little bit of an argument there, haven't you? Connor, we have to get players in who will keep us up at the moment. I don't think we have. I agree. I 100% agree with that, mate. Right, everybody, let's see how many of you are in the building. We're doing a little bit of a time check as always, and my screen has gone off, which is just absolutely fabulous. Well done, Connor. Another absolutely quality. Let's have a look. We have 1.3 people in the building, 1.3K people in the building, everybody. Thanks for your support. Let's have a look at the next rumour on the mill, shall we, everybody? Mateo Joseph has been pictured jetting out of Ellen Road, LBA, and he is heading to Mallorca. Good signing for Mallorca. I've seen a bit of the reaction online. Good riddance, all this sort of stuff. The Liam Cooper quote, which is getting a bit jarring now, seeing all the time. Mateo Joseph is going out on loan, it looks like, to Mallorca. If he does come back, which he will, he's a Leeds United player. Leeds have been going for an option, so it's likely that him and Mallorca are going to sort this by the end of the campaign. He is still a Leeds United player. So I don't like how he's gone about his conduct. We've rehabilitated players with that sort of conduct before. We've seen it multiple times. You know, when it comes to players wanting to leave and saying that they want to leave, and the whole rat thing, Harrison, Aronson, Verber, Nonto. Look, it will be rehabilitated with Joseph if he comes back for us. If he's done really well in La Liga, comes back and looks like a different player physically. If he's banging goals in La Liga, I'm sure the opinion will change that they don't want him to F off and all this sort of stuff. He'll go out on loan, he'll come back, and hopefully he'll do all right. So, yeah, I'm still supporting Joseph. I want Joseph to go out there and do well because I want Leeds United to do well overall, and I think he can come back and be an asset. Right. Big one again. Big one again. Interesting, this one. Interesting. Ben Doak. Okay, so James Pearce, one of the top Liverpool sources, has suggested that Leeds United are in for Ben Doak. Us, West Ham, 20 million quid. Yep, I did say that. Contract runs out in 2026, 19 years of age. Was at Borough last season. 24, 25, got absolutely pocketed by Max Verber, if you remember. 24 games last season, 10 goal involvements, very good for a young lad. Goals and assists per 90, which we all talk about as well, 0.51, which is absolutely excellent. Bearing in mind, Jonny Rowe was 0.71. But excellent for a young lad, a teenager in the Championship. You know, you look at his expected goals and expected assists in the Championship. He's matched it, which is brilliant. He's not under it. Right wing, can play on the left-hand side as well. Absolutely rapid, really, really quick. And then, you know, you're potentially looking at a scenario where if Harrison went out and Ben Doak came in, would I like that? Yeah, because Ben Doak's a better player than him, than Jack Harrison. I do firmly believe that. Not for me, though. That is, I mean, especially, you know, I guess when you're looking at the profiles of Buonanotte and El Khannouss, there is a bit of proof there that they can do it in the Premier League. There's absolutely no proof that Ben Doak can do it in the Premier League. No proof whatsoever as of yet. There's a lot of hype around him, but I'm just a little bit like with Liverpool and the sales and him being out of contract in 2026. Just got listed down here some of the big sales I've made. Van der Berg to Brentford, 20 million. Ryan Bruce to Sheffield United, 25 million. Carvalho, Brentford again, 25 million. Clark, RB Leipzig, 15 million. They just make so much money when it comes to selling very, very sort of unproven to an extent, untested players on for big fees. Ben Doak, it doesn't excite me whatsoever. I'll be honest with you. Sorry, a lot of him last season. His turn of pace is decent, good balance as well, rapid, absolutely rapid. Getting in and behind defence is a massive problem. I think he's got a good football brain on him, good decision maker in the final third. But yeah, it's kind of underwhelming for me. That kind of underwhelming. I'm not. I wouldn't be outrageously excited by that one. And it's, as I say, that when I'm trying to scrape at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to this, and that's no disrespect to Ben Doak whatsoever, but this is probably the most credible link we've seen recently when it comes to Doak, because James Pearce, who's an excellent reporter for Liverpool, obviously he's part of the Athletic as well, has said that Leeds are in for him. 20 million quid. I would hope Leeds walk away from that. If I'm honest with you, I'd hope Leeds walk away from that. Gives you something a little bit different. Gives you an upward trajectory, homegrown quota. But I need more than that. I need more than that when it comes to certainty. I need more than that when it comes to dependability and reliability, when it comes to numbers. And a lot of people say, well, Connor, you're on about Buonanotte, you're on about El Khannouss, and to an extent, everybody, we've reeled off all these numbers when it comes to those players in particular, and the per 90 numbers in the Premier League. There's a proof there. There's a proof that they can do it. You look at El Khannouss, who's, produced nigh on 50 chances in the Premier League last season. You look at someone like Buonanotte, who for 2 seasons has been getting progressively better at Premier League standing as well. You look at Ben Doak, and it's just a massive risk. It's a huge risk at 90. Just turned 19, by the way. Um, yeah, not for me. Not for me. I think there are better options out there for that amount of money as well. And you look again, I think Jonny Rowe might be on the left hand side, but if you kind of look at that top level experience, Jonny Rowe's 21. You compare him to Ben Doak, I'd much rather go for Jonny Rowe. Much rather go for Jonny Rowe. I think he's impressive. Ben Doak's numbers were very, very impressive when it comes to percentiles last season for Borough, of course. But for me, you've got players ahead of him, I think, as well. And I know Jonny Rowe might be on that left hand side, and Doak, we know we can invert from that left hand side onto that right hand side as well. There's a bit of versatility there, but yeah, not for me. Not for me. Good close control, definitely, but I think there's better out there for me, for Leeds United anyway in this market. And but then again, it is an improvement on Harrison if you've got him out on that left hand side potentially. Who knows? But if you look at his transfer marks, because it is a little bit here, there, and everywhere when it comes to his positioning and where he likes to play, Ben Doak. But his natural position is right-sided. I think that's where he played a lot of his time for Borough as well, but he can play on that left-hand side, as I've mentioned, versatility. Just going to have a quick look at his championship numbers and see how many times he played on that left, because it's going to be quite interesting. Because I know he is a right winger. But yeah, he was just solely right-sided. It's all right-sided. So yeah, as we mentioned with Jonny Rowe before, he could play on that left-hand side. I know for Liverpool he has played on the left-hand side a couple of times, but when it comes to Ben Doak, but he's just out on our pace. Right. Doak is a winger. He is indeed. Connor, do you think DJ, Nonto, and Largy over the season would be good enough for the Premier League? Do we need another starting winger? I think we do need another starting winger, mate. Yeah, mate. I do think we need another starting winger. I think that has to happen. I love in Middlesbrough. Some of my mates, so he's not the greatest. I live in Middlesbrough, I presume. Hi, Connor. Can you bring back the interesting club for your next streams? I think it just adds to the visual quality. Of course, mate. Yeah, no worries. I think it's just easy to just talk about the players a little bit. I don't want to just but yeah, we can do. Of course, we can. Yeah, 100%. 20 million seems a bit steep. Does indeed. Does indeed. I agree with you. This means absolutely nothing. We said Mateo Joseph wasn't for sale. Don't really know what that means. I think we have to gamble on a striker. I don't see us making a definitive move, potentially a loan and maybe an option. 100%. Okay, let's get on to the next conversation. Now, this is more, everybody, about a little snippet from Graham Bailey, but it is a rumour mill. Apparently, Leeds United are still very keen on Emi Buendia. Villa open to selling him still for 20 million quid. Obviously, we know injuries have absolutely hampered him. He had an option sign for Leverkusen last season, but that was an option, not an obligation. Leverkusen turned against it at that moment in time with Xabi Alonso at the helm. Apparently, he's playing quite well for Aston Villa. Can't profess to have kept up a lot with what happens when it comes to Emi Buendia. And apparently, they are still looking for a relatively large fee. Right, guys, listen, we're going to leave it there. I'm not going to waffle on too much. This has been the Room Mill. This has been the show of which we are tuning into 5 days a week. If we need to do it at the weekend, we will do it at the weekend. Of course, we'll have timestamps on your list, don't worry, for after the video if you have just joined. So check them out if you just want to go back and look at these timestamps. There's over 1.6k of you in the building. Make sure you slap a like before we leave. Can we get to 2k likes? That'd be unbelievable. I'm going to be in Dublin tomorrow, everybody, so I'll try get some footage if I can. There won't be a watch along tomorrow, but there will be a watch on which you'll all want to get involved in, because there are going to be prizes being given away on there as well, or leading up to there, where you can, get your prize on the watch along and all that sort of great stuff. So make sure you're checking that out, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Conor McGilligan, and I will see you in Dublin, or I will see you on probably around Sunday or Monday. We'll wait and see, but make sure you got your notifications switched on. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in a bit. Cheers.